Hi, welcome to the Nerds Cantos, a podcast hosted here on the Scrubboys channel where we do a bunch of nonsense. Um, this week it was me and my co-host Stewie, which we'll get into at the actual intro. But my audio had a bit of a hiccup where I'm extremely quiet and I cut out intermittently. But I'm going to re record basically all of my sections because a lot of them just don't work at all. And a lot of them is just me talking and then Stewie occasionally saying something. So, back to the regularly scheduled program, I guess. This is the Nerds Cantos, buddy. This is the intro. We're fucking doing it. Welcome to the Nerds Cantos. Okay, we got a special episode here today. Stewie episode. Say hello.
Hi. Special episode that's been haunting us for 2 months.
It had, dude. Okay. Let's fill you in. All the comic book people who clicked on this video because it's going to be titled something like Pitching the Ultimate Universe. Hello, and welcome to this really bad podcast we. That aside, also, my name's Xander. If you... Cool. Everything else aside, a couple months ago, we decided, we said, what if DC had an Ultimate? And then we started talking about ideas. Our ideas were connecting. We'll get into. But we were like, oh, that's a great idea, but that's a great idea, right? Then we said, wait a minute. What if we write this down, pitch it, internet? Started working on it. I don't know. It was like 2, 3 months ago, something like that.
Yeah, like February, at the end of
Yeah.
February.
But I think we worked on it for about like 2 weeks. Both put some effort into it. We're like, that's really good. Did good work here. And then we kind of fell off of it. Still, last leaked that DC potentially gonna be having their own Ultimate Universe called, I think, like, or just a leak, so we don't fully have like a title or anything. But it's something along the line. We don't even know if it really is an Ultimate, but all the leaks are. So I, of course, was like, we gotta hop back on the train immediately. Have to hop and start our fucking work. And work we did. That's what we're here to share today. Pitch our ideas, run down our little story beats, and have maybe too much. We might have done a little too much.
Yeah, we we did write a lot.
Wrote a
This might
lot,
be a two-parter.
potentially, or and then if this gets viewed, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
We will do it regardless
Yeah,
because
we
why not?
had some fun doing this, so we will most definitely make a second part. So if you like this video, keep that in mind. When will the second part come out? Don't ever fucking ask me. I will never have that. Don't ever ask this channel that because I'm never gonna know. It'll come out when it. But without further ado, why don't we hit the idea? Why don't we hit it? Okay. I should also say, if the art, us, all belong. Okay. Just want to get that out of the way before.
Yeah, we're not artists.
No, we are not.
If we were comic book artists, we would not be here. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
We would not be here.
We would not be pitching our idea. We would be pitching it to DC. We'd be like, hey, DC, we have this beautiful, wonderful universe idea. Can we do it? Would not be pitching YouTube. It, or we'll get a lot of comments that are like, this fucking blows, bro.
Idiot.
How could you even do that with Batman? How could you dare even think to change Batman? Regardless, we're gonna run down. I guess we gotta run down a couple big events. First and kind of the universe events, just stuff that sort of happens. Get into. So for starters, Hal Jordan becomes a Green Lantern. That's pretty important.
Yeah. We gotta have a Green Lantern.
Do
Gotta be
gotta
a
have a
lantern,
Green
man.
Lantern. Aquaman, King of the Ocean, reaches out to his landlubber of brother, Ocean Master. And Ocean Master's not very happy. Now, technically, could be King of Atlantis. Kind of have a little bit of a role reversal. Aquaman. Anything else? I don't think there's any big events that we don't get into.
Yeah, pretty much everything we get into.
So we're gonna start our little journey off. Flash, Pro. Could also just say 1, 2, but we put zeros. Kind of ran with that for the.
A little confusing, but yeah, we.
Yeah, I know. I thought about it like the other day where I was like, what? Zero? It doesn't matter, but like, okay. Flash.
It is what it is.
Barry Allen. Everyone knows. Classic superhero character, been around since the 50s. And this man's been around the block. But what they don't know, that Barry Allen, citizen of Neo Gotham, likes to run. You know, as Flashes tend to do, they run, especially when the Earth is being completely destroyed. And typically, when that happens, we have a little bit of a travel event, which is exactly what happened. Allen runs away from his home of Neo Gotham, makes it to the past, years before any issues arose. I shouldn't say any issues. There's definitely some issues, but years before big Earth melting problems. I also just realized too how I'm gonna know if like just reading the bullet points is a good idea, or if I should try to like spice it up like I'm doing now. And that's could, you know what?
I think a little bit of both.
Little
You
bit of
know,
both. Little bit of
a little
both.
bit of both.
Excuse that, viewers. I'm gonna leave that in just so you know we don't know what the fuck we're.
No, half of this was written at like in the middle of the night for both of us at
Oh,
various times.
especially and this Flash stuff have not looked at anything. I'm like, what? Like immediately, it's we should have done better work in doing this, but we don't care like that. So Flash runs from Neo Gotham back to the suit is completely destroyed. He's got a cool little, Flash suit. It's still sort of cloth though. It's not, stupid future line tech like movie have him look like. But the suit being in ruins and tatters is causing red blur as he. It doesn't just have like lightning or some wacky red blur that he always has. It's like tattered cloth piece. But now stuck in the past. What's a man to do but attempt to get a job? You got to join the capitalist while lying low. Also can't change the timeline. So very occasionally, Tommy real fast, stop it, call it a day. The only major things he does, John, fight two villains, Captain Cold and Mirror Mask. Mainly because they were really just causing major issues. Barry was like, okay, really fast, I'm gonna take him out. But every time Barry does this, memories change. Something is altered. Stops Captain Cold, maybe some knowledge he had from the future sort of disappears or something. So at this point, having this happen just kind of quits cold turkey. I can't change future anymore because I will forget who. So instead, he goes and he gets a job for LexCorp. Okay, now that I have to basically re-record all of my sections, I'm gonna yap really fast so you can get to the better parts of the video, which are done by my co-host, who put a lot more work into this than I did. So, starting where we left off, Barry Allen gets a job at LexCorp. He's tasked with cleaning up superpowered messes, so he meets his partner, not romantic partner, but literal partner, Iris West. Now, they do immediately following this actually become romantic partners and get together, but that, it takes an issue or two. It doesn't really matter that much. Or it does, that's a lie. It does matter a lot. Actually, it's extremely important, but moving on. Iris introduces Barry to her son, Wally West, right? Then we cut back to the future. Michael John Carter, aka Booster Gold, I'm only going to refer to him as Booster Gold from now on, arrives in the past. Ted Kord, aka the Blue Beetle, gets a ping from one of his many gadgets saying that someone is stealing one of it. A gadget of his is around here somewhere. I'm not going to mince words here, it's Booster Gold, alright? It's revealed that Ted Kord is actually making some form of time travel technology that later in the future Booster Gold steals and then uses to come back in the past. Now, why is Booster Gold in the past? Well, he's pissed at Barry Allen for changing time, which is kind of ruining his life, okay? Like, Booster is one of the few people who's, like, noticing time around him is changing, so he decides to steal this time machine and comes back and realizes, like, the epicenter of stuff changing is this Flash guy. And he comes from a couple years before Barry Allen did, so he's pre-Cataclysm, pre-world being destroyed, right? Booster eventually draws Barry out. The two have a big fight across the city. Booster almost beats Barry, but he stopped when Blue Beetle completely shuts the suit down. Beetle takes both Booster and Flash back to Cord Industries, where Beetle discovers that Booster is using time travel technology he is currently building / will finish building in the future. Whoa, time travel, right? Barry explains why he's even in the past. Booster's like, I kind of feel bad for beating you up. You're here to save the future. That one's on me. Beetle does some tests on Barry, and they kind of discover the Speed Force. The idea, like, Barry knew what the Speed Force was because he's from the future, and there were flashes in the past, yada yada. But, like, you know, Beetle's kind of like, I want to know how this thing works. So they start doing some tests. Beetle calls an old friend in. Enter Jay Garrick, a retired Flash. Jay gives Barry a prototype Flash ring with a suit that he never really got to use, so it's basically brand new. So Barry, new suit, decides to still not do it because everything he's doing is actively changing timeline. This is when questions show, and he yells at Barry a little bit. We could further explain that, but he gives Barry a little pep talk and tells him to lock the fuck in because the White Martians have arrived and they are causing a lot of issues, and the League, or the what will eventually be the League.
All right. Now, what do you guys know about the question? I know a little bit. So I wrote. Sorry.
You said, "What do they know about the question?" And I was like, "No, I was about to say that's the question, isn't it?" And you didn't let me say it in
time. You just want to get this part out and try again?
No, keep going.
No,
keep
going. All right. Don't worry, there'll be a question joke later. There is always going to be a question joke.
Question is,
yeah, that is the question, isn't it?
I apologize, and
anyways, the Vic Sage, a paranoid freelance college dropout journalist, is investigating his local police precinct on the suspicion of corruption in his hometown Hub City when he is assaulted by a dozen masked men outside his apartment building and gets beat within an inch of his life. So his only friend and neighbor, Aristotle, hears this commotion outside and drags him inside and attempts to report the crime, but Vic doesn't like that and obviously doesn't do anything because, you know, they're corrupt, of course. So, you know, Vic, he's bedridden even after being discharged because he did get, you know, utterly fucked up by like a dozen people. So he decides to take some more provocative measures, you know, gets a little serious and finds corruption plaguing his city. So as soon as he can walk again, he starts teaching himself self-defense. So following weeks, you know, he's in the boxing gym, the rundown, shitty boxing gym in Hub City because it's Hub City. He starts talking more to Aristotle about his conviction of wanting to clean up the town. And Aristotle, you know, he's a little worried for his friend, you know, he's kind of losing it because he you know, he threw himself in the training right after getting discharged from the hospital. But he acquiesces and he's like, you know what? Let me give you this little thing to help you conceal your identity, so that way, you know, it doesn't get traced back to you. And he gets his pseudoderm mask, you know, the question mask. So the next night, dons his new identity, his new persona, if you will, and hits the streets of Hub City. Now, question is a Batman. So instead of, you know, going out and fighting, you know, crime immediately, he just stalks the police station, just stakes that out for hours, and just taking notes on strange activity, which there is, the police, the cops, they're acting a little irregular, you know, leaving work without, changing or taking off their patrol gear. The lights stay on 24/7, the station. Some of them are like slouching and like taking odd times to blink. Weird things are going on to the police in Hub City. So Question decides to investigate the captain of the station, his old friend that he had a falling out with, Izzy O'Toole. So he breaks into his apartment naturally and begins, going through his trash, his file cabinets, and he finds out that there's a bunch of complaints from like the citizens of the police fucking just not doing their job, are doing it wrong, doing it incorrectly, harassing people that Tool has just been covering up. So he's a little upset because him and Tool were friends. They were friends in college. So he takes evidence of it, takes photos and ditches the apartment. While he's walking back, he spots, some cop cars going around his building and an ambulance there. And you know, in his vigilante suit, probably wouldn't be a good idea to go through the front door. So he scales the fire escape to his apartment, goes through the stairwell, and gets to the Tots door because he's worried about his friend. And when he gets there, there's a bunch of officers around it, and an EMT hauls Todd out in a stretcher and takes him down the stairwell. So Vic, seeing this and seeing the officer still acting weird with their gaze stares, decides to act on all the intel he has and begins packing up to like move away from the obviously compromised apartment. So he finds a shitty motel to stay in, begins categorizing the evidence he has, and forwards it to a friend he met in college, Vicky Vale, because I don't know any other journalist in DC and I refuse to learn another one. So he anonymously contacts her, arranges a dead drop, drops the intel off, leaves it there, and he decides maybe he should focus on the gang going around the city that the police have been ignoring or straight up just assisting at certain times. The Dragons, the notorious, gang going around extorting people, protection money, and distributing drugs. Typical gangs, typical gang shenanigans. So, Question resumes his stalking and staking out. Finds a single dragon, out just sticking around and questions him very, very harshly on the sidewalk. And he learns that the dragons don't know why the police suddenly just start, helping them or ignoring, looking the other way. So doesn't really get anything from that. So he just leaves frustrated and decides to go clear off some steam by hitting a drug den completely by himself and unarmed. So he breaks the door down, starts scrapping with the dragon gang members that he can find and get his hands on. Obviously, this doesn't go well, and he gets overwhelmed and uses his pseudoderm smoke. I forget the actual name, so we'll just call it that, to mask his escape. But he also kind of blinds himself, so he doesn't really escape. He has to fight his way out still. So he stumbles at the drug den, completely pummeled. But he's kind of proud of himself for once because he actually managed to do something instead of just being a little stalker guy. So that's what he ends up doing. He keeps going and clearing out dragon dens and trying to find out what the police are up to and why they're, acting weird, acting strange. And one day while he's staking out the police station, a woman appears in front of him. And she introduces herself as Lady Shiva. And she's fascinated with the question because he's been single-handedly clearing out her gains, I almost said dragon dens, drug dens by himself. In question, obviously kind of weirded out by the mysterious lady that managed to sneak up on him is he asks her what she wants. And instead of answering, she just kind of lunges after him and starts beating the fuck out of him because it's Lady Shiva. So Question loses badly because it's Lady Shiva and he's just a guy. And Shiva starts monologuing. He starts talking to him, talking down to him, talking about how he's in over his head because he kind of is because it's an entire drug operation, like criminal organization. And eventually, Question just kind of ditches and rolls off the roof and lands on on a dumpster, rolls off of it and limps away. And Shiva just lets him go. So he makes it back to his motel. Doors open, upset, and just cursing his luck. He's like, whatever, fuck it. And he goes into his motel room. And it's unnaturally dark. Like, not like regular darkness where it's like, oh, you can still kind of see due to like ambient light. No, it's just straight up pitch black, dark in his room. Except for the lone figure standing in the middle, iron backed, not facing him. Question takes a step forward, figure turns around, and instead of like a regular face, it's a blank face with hollowed out eyes, which is kind of, a grim reflection of his mask, the Question's mask. Now, Question is horrified because he doesn't know what's happening. Just this is like monster police officers in front of him. Doesn't know why. Uh, so he immediately tries to leave, but the police officer violently like shudders and twists and then starts snapping and then just starts speaking in a bunch of voices at once. And all the voices are telling the Question that he's gotten too close to figuring out what's actually happening. So the Question flips the closest object, which happens to be the bedside table, at the monstrosity, dives out the window, fucking just leaves, gets inside his car, and speeds out the lot. And he starts heading towards the police station to finally get some answers. He peels into the police station's parking lot, still deserted. Lights are actually on this time, but they're flickering sporadically. He spends a minute to psych himself up, goes for it, gets into the entrance, and the door is wide open. He walks inside. Lights finally go out as he steps inside. So he's creeping around, and then he hears someone talking further in the police station. Goes to investigate, opens the door. In front of him is a man in a brown trench coat and a horrifying skinless creature who's shrieking. And as it, lunges at the guy in the trench coat, gets shot once with a revolver at the man in the trench coat pulled out and just disintegrates. So the Question just stands there, baffled and just completely floored. And the code man turns around and he lights up a cigarette, takes a swig from a flask, looks at the Question in the most disinterested way imaginable, rolls his eyes, and just walks out the door. And Question turns around, looks for the man. He's gone, just completely. So he gets back in his car, goes to visit Tot in the hospital, and lets him know that the police situation has been handled and that he doesn't really know what happened. So in the next following weeks, the police start doing their job again, start making arrests on the Dragon Gang. Vicky Vale drops a story about their corruption and how Hub City has just descended into just this crime riddled like den of degeneracy. Uh, most of the officers and just basically the whole entire station is just demoted or fired. Lady Shiva disappeared, which leaves the Dragon Gang just completely directionless. Plus, the police are cracking down on them, so they're done for basically. At the end, Question doesn't really know what to feel because he got what he wanted, cleared out the city, but the police weren't even the real problem, and it seems that someone else just kind of did it for him. So he's just out brooding on patrol when he spots a red blur rushing through the streets of Hub City. Curious, he walks over, finds this like anxious looking guy who's muttering to himself about being too late again. And he asks him, what's he doing here? And he scares the poor guy, Flash, obviously. So he introduces himself, Flash does, and he asks the question if he needs any help with the situation in Hub City. Question tells him that's over. It's done. There's nothing to help with. And Flash kind of wilts at that, and he mumbles something to himself about consequences and leaves. And Question just sits there in the empty street, pulls out a notebook, and writes down the Flash, and begins walking back to his apartment. And that's the end of year one for the Question. Been
No,
doing
I'll make a little
specifically.
note. Make a little note. As you can tell, one of us put a lot more effort into writing the story down. Other one just blurbed. It's like this happens and this happens and this happens and we move on. Pick your fighter, I guess. Yeah, we're gonna move on to Wonder Woman. Very different superhero Flash. Now, also, I will say, we're not doing typical things here. All right, you think, oh, it's the Ultimate Universe? We're gonna get a Batman. We'll get a Batman, but we're gonna get a Superman, and we're gonna get the Aquamans and the Lanterns. Now, fuck that shit. Got Flash.
Question is the main character.
Question
Yes.
and Wonder Woman are the starting stories we got going on. Because we wanted to spice it up. Can't just be doing that basic. But Wonder Woman, daughter, Ulta, and I didn't do the Clay origin, and I know that would people off, but did the daughter of Hippolyta. I gotta slow down. Names are getting hard to pronounce immediate. But Wonder Woman live. Typical Wonder Woman. We're back re-recording more audio here. So we're going to hit Wonder Woman years 0 to 2 right about now. So starting off, Wonder Woman, or Diana, as I'll probably end up calling her, is the daughter of Hippolyta and Zeus. Now, I know a lot of people love the Clay origin. I myself am a fan of the Clay origin, but I wanted to spice it up. I'm going very mythology heavy here for this Ultimate Universe, or this absolute universe, as DC would come to call it, or at least what we think is what they're calling it. Regardless, daughter of Hippolyta and Zeus. Eventually, it's basically regular Wonder Woman until Hippolyta falls ill. Diana then leaves Themyscira for the first time in search of the Golden Fleece. Alright, now the Golden Fleece, for those who don't know, is an ancient Greek mythological item that can heal you, grant you wishes, blah blah blah, that kind of thing. So along this way, Diana runs into pilot Steve Trevor and history professor Barbara Minerva. Okay, Barbara says that she knows where the fleece should be, but that she wants Diana to take her, as she's been kind of investigating these mythological items for basically all of her career. And Steve is sort of the pilot of the plane. He is retired from like the Air Force and has been hired on by Barbara and her, I guess we could say, team. Her sponsors, right? So they fly the plane, the Argo. It's another Greek mythology reference. The group eventually finds the fleece, which is guarded by the Minotaur. Barbara notes that the Minotaur shouldn't be here. Diana and Steve fight the Minotaur. While this is happening, Barbara goes for the fleece. Before she gets it, a mysterious metallic figure steals it. So kind of like a robot, but more like tin coppery colored, that bronze sort of color. And it looks more like an ancient robot. They end up defeating the Minotaur. Diana and Barbara reason that the metallic figure was made by Daedalus, so they set off to find the labyrinth. They eventually find the labyrinth, which is being guarded by the Colchian dragon. Diana beats the dragon, and the group enters the labyrinth. Immediately, they get split up because it's the labyrinth. Diana and Steve move through trap after trap. They basically have feelings for each other. I don't want to say it's immediate, but it's pretty much immediate. However, in this universe, I kind of wanted to go for a little thing where Steve kind of makes Diana nervous because she's not used to dudes, and like commanding Steve is something she can do, but then like addressing that she might have feelings for this person is a little bit of a new thing for her. She's trying to learn how to express herself, so that's kind of her arc throughout the first couple of issues here. This first year or 2 years. Also, I should say it is basically the same for Steve. Steve is infatuated with Diana and also doesn't know how to talk to her because this like 7-foot gorgeous woman that can destroy these mythological monsters has shown up. So both of them are in this like, we clearly like each other, but we're both too nervous to say something about it. Meanwhile, Barbara is completely by herself and going through, as I put it in my notes, poor fucker situations and slowly losing her mind. Meanwhile, Steve and Diana find Daedalus. They fight some robot goons. Barbara is met by a mysterious figure who shows her fake images of Diana and Steve getting together. And kind of have this thing where maybe Barbara is actually into Diana, so she's kind of jealous that Steve is, getting Diana and she's not, blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing. There's some hints in there. We cut back to Diana and Steve interrogating Daedalus, who tells them that Minerva, the Roman goddess, is behind the plot. So for those who don't know, Minerva is actually Athena, goddess of wisdom, war, blah, 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 a bunch of other stuff, right? Minerva and Barbara Minerva, haha, names are confusing, thanks comic books, make a deal. Minerva uses the fleece to turn Barbara into Cheetah. Cheetah and Diana fight. Cheetah dies after, like, apologizing to Diana, realizing she misread the situation, was lied to, basically. She drops the fleece like a video game character, and Diana vows to avenge her and stop Minerva. And that is the end of the first 2 years of Wonder Woman. We can move on.
God, oh God, here we go. Do you want to split up like you do your part and I do mine?
Could do that. This one.
I just don't want to like bore the viewers with just one person yapping
All
for
right.
like
I
20
will do
minutes.
my part. So me and Stu, a little thing. Batman's too big of a character, and everyone. Fully, I think if you comic book, you probably have a Batman idea in your. So me and Stu felt weird. The idea of only Batman. So we both kind of came up with ideas, and I wrote year 3. So I'll run down Batman's. First and foremost, those Waynes die. Okay, the pearls fall into the sewer, yada yada. They get shot in an alleyway. Get it? You know who Batman is. 16 years later, so we got an early 20s Batman. Backed only by the training that Alfred had given him. Alfred was like nothing crazy.
Yeah, I think isn't it canon that he was just ex SAS? I'm pretty sure it is.
It's one
Something
of
like that.
those, he's fish, I think.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah.
No League of Shadow shit. That's all I
No
got.
ninja nonsense. He got trained by Alfred. Now listen, Alfred's kind of goated, so like Batman's good, but he ain't no god.
Yeah.
At the same time, Batman Wayne comes back. First appearance. Selina, the heir to the Kyle, attempts to sort of hit on Bruce. But Bruce has none of this. He's more interested in prison. Joe Chill, the known associate Kyle family. High level. At the same time, while avoiding Selina and watching Joe Chill, Bruce notes Carmine Falcone, as well as Salvatore. With both of them, Falcone brought his bodyguard Victor Paz when he brought his, I wrote, his human coat rack Oswald Cobblepot. Bruce then leaves the gala early. Bruce stands on a mission. Like, I gotta get that Joe Chill. He killed my parents. Now, Chill has been tasked by the Kyle family collecting. Right? He just got out of prison. He's got to prove he's still in the game and he can life. First, at a chemical Batman. A little chase here, leading with following a fight, chase and then a fight. Batman gets the upper hand and he holds Chill over a vat of acid. I don't want to call it, I wrote acid down, but vat of funky chemical. Bruce takes the mask off, reveals himself. Chill apologizes. Hire murder with an accident. Crazy mobster, Chrissy, Ash. Didn't even mean to fire the gun. This freaks Bruce out. Chill slips and falls into the vat of chemical. Leaves Bruce with a sense of guilt. Isn't sure if he dropped him on purpose or if Chill actually slipped or what went down there. So Bruce vows never take. Sets his sights on his first enemy, Batman. Organized. The next day, it's a shit ton of money into making Gotham a better place. He also gets a small, shitty inner city of Gotham, closer, basically all the action. Doesn't need to live in a manor that's in like 2 hours away from the city. He wants to end the action right away. Time. Here's where we cut to Gordon, beaten and broken by the mob. Gordon is dirty cop, not willingly, kind of. When you work in Gotham for a long time, they're gonna get to you. So all three mob families task Gordon with taking down the Batman, whether he is real or not. Doesn't matter. He's causing some problems. Gordon's got to get rid of him. However, Gordon sees Batman as a way to fix the situation. Batman can take down the crime families, then Gordon can be a non-dirty cop again for. And Batman doesn't have a great detective yet. Gordon easily tracks him down, offers his assistance in making Batman a detective, while also kind of showing him the around Gotham. Stuff you need to know. Batman agreed. Gordon says he'll teach him how to be a better detective. Gordon wants to work together with Batman. Also, show up in one of their houses and get out of him. He's got to work through the law. Gordon sets Batman up. Okay, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we just kept him to the
He sets him up with Harvey Dent and Harvey Robin form, Oswald Cobblepot. Now, first on the chopping block is as Cobblepot works from kind of easy. After that, they'll tackle Falcone. Cobblepot goes, he's here, he's dealing drugs. Batman beats the shit out of him. Gordon and fucking Dent show up. They got him dead to rights. They go to Falcone, but this one takes a little bit more time. Batman has to go up against Zsasz, who is a trained killer. No scars, just a very good. At the same time, Gordon still has to pretend to search Batman. Mob isn't in on the fact that trying to help and take him down. Gotta take a drink. I'm saying a lot of words here.
No, yeah, I'm preparing myself.
I know you wrote a lot. Batman's first fight was Zsasz. immediately interrupted by not only the police, as Gordon has to keep up this charade, but also another Huntress. Fight kind of breaks out. Batman's got to get out of there. Huntress is getting out of there. Staz is scared. Batman tracks down the kind of a problem to have found in town. Ellie, sole survivor of the same kind of idea here. Mob family, like lower mob. They got out. They got axed. Batman's like, all right, listen up. You don't got this. Like he doesn't necessarily have a problem with like another vigilante up. It's more so the fact that she does not have that dog in her. Like she's not properly trained to be a vigilante. Batman's like, gonna get killed, get out of here. Huntress doesn't listen to that though. Gives chase to Zsasz. The super long fight ensues. Where Zsasz does end up killing, not before last crossbow. Zsasz doesn't die here, but the bolt like scar down his does incapacitate him. So Batman kind of grabs Zsasz, and is like, all right, Zsasz is done. Fortunately, at the law Huntress, now he can take down Falcon. Relatively. So, team of Batman, Gordon, Harvey turn their sights to Kyle Finn. Now back to Bruce. It's another invite to come to a different party. Bruce attempts to gather information, but he's nervous because kind of wanted. Regardless, at the party, Selina again is trying to hit on. Now wanting to Playboy idea start to flirt back. However, despite his best efforts to keep, he's got to lean into this idea. Selina drags him back to a bedroom. Listen. We all know what they're gonna do in that bedroom. So meanwhile, at the someone, mysterious figure, flips Maroni a nice little vial of acid, not funky chemicals, just straight acid. And Harvey steps forward. Maroni throws the acid into the issue. It's Cobblepot. And next issue, back to the party. Selina successfully has gotten Bruce in the bedroom where she drugs him. Up in a dinner house tied to a chair. Slade Wilson, hired assassin, killer, there to kill him. Not because they know or think he's Batman, because they think he's Robin Forman, showing up at these parties to give away information to the cops. They also think it's Bruce and Slade have a little fight. Slade underestimates him, drugged and die. Like I said, Slade words cut. Slade shoots at him. Bruce dodges. Bullet ricochets, hits Slade's eye, taking his. Bruce escapes. Harvey's in the hospital. Frustrated, he just goes for it. Batman's just like, I'm gonna take down the Kyle family. No more of this shit. They took out a good man, right? Like Harvey, that was a real one, and he's had to deal with this assassin, feeling guilty about dodging the attack, taking the attack. Slade wouldn't have. Our Batman is Daredevil. Yeah, we mean talking about this. He feels guilt for all of these things, and Stewie will get more in. But
oh yeah, there's plenty of guilt.
Yeah, Batman shows up at the Kyle residence. He has a little fight with, including Selina, who immediately head over heels. All about Bruce Wayne love with Batman. He escapes. Maybe Bruce lets her go. Maybe not. Doesn't really matter, Anyway, Selina gets out. The rest of the Kyle family. Back end of the one human coat rack, Oswald Cobblepot begins to seize vacuum. That is to. I'll let Stewie take over.
All right. So, in the following weeks, for Batman here. He continues to crack down on the remaining mob elements, cleans them up because obviously if you arrest all the heads, there's still gonna be like a couple goons, gooning about. I shouldn't have said that. Couple of goons going about.
Goonin. All right, I come back. I heard Goonin.
That word's been ruined.
It really
Okay.
has, hasn't it? I missed
It
that word.
really, it really has. Anyways, so yeah, mob element guys still going around doing mob stuff, but for themselves, are so it would seem to Bruce at this point. Anyways, him and Gordon are trying to clean up, but more operations keep popping up and up, so they keep pushing them down. But persistent one is a notable arms smuggling ring that they don't know who's running. In the meantime, Bruce visits Harvey in the hospital, but the DA is still kind of like withdrawn from having acid thrown on his face. So he, leaves him to recover, kind of guilt himself over it because he put him in that situation. So at Gordon's request, Batman ends up tracking down one of the shipments of the illegal weapons that are going around, and it leads him to a warehouse with a bunch of armed. I can't. Why'd I use that word? a bunch of armed mobsters. We're just gonna call them mobsters because I can't say goon. I cannot say goon. It's just ruined. It's ruined. I hate you. I hate you, Aaron. It's ruined. It was a cool word. Anyway, obviously a fight ensues, and Batman, beats him up, makes his way through like a wave of guards, and once he's properly inside the warehouse, he finds more people packing up for another shipment. Quickly, beats them up, pummels them, but he can't get anything out of the guys he's trying to interrogate. So he just knocks them out and investigates the crates that they're packing up. And underneath, or I should say, in one of the crates is a layer of bottles, but underneath that, are the weapons, obviously. So he calls Gordon, tells him to come pick up the guys, and informs him about the crates that he, excuse me, that are being shipped to bars, it would seem, because it's liquor. So Gordon and him narrow down the list of bars in Gotham City that have been receiving shipments from within inside the city between themselves. And so Gordon and his men go after a few of the established businesses in the city, while Batman goes after a recently opened establishment, the Iceberg Lounge. The renovated owned by the Falcone family, but was recently been purchased by a shell company. So once Bruce gets there, I'm sorry for interchangeably using Bruce and Batman.
Dude,
It's just gonna happen. It's
it's
just
hard.
it's just gonna happen.
Actively hard.
In the doc, it's Batman, but I'm using Bruce and Batman interchangeably. It's just gonna have to happen. Anyways, so he gets there, bar's deserted. It's still kind of being renovated. So he's looking around, searching the place. But it's completely cleaned out still. He goes to call Gordon, but as he does that, the interior lights suddenly flick on, and he quickly ends the call. And he raises his guard as a familiar figure comes into view, Slade Wilson. Obviously, Slade being Slade, he wastes no time and immediately, goes to murder Batman because that's what he's there for. He's using his classic sword and pistol combo. So Batman dodging the swipes and making sure he doesn't get shot in the face. He's on the defensive and he's favoring, Slade's blind spot. So they fight, they scrap across the building, eventually get upstairs. Batman actually manages to disarm Slade, but Slade slices him in retaliation. Keeping his guard up and he falls back. And Slade kind of stops for a second. He kind of laughs to himself, and then the two get immediately back into fighting. But Slade's, he's being a little bit more forceful. Batman notices, so he lets himself Batman lets Slade tire himself out, and then pummels him, and ends up actually cracking Slade's mask, which causes him to reel back and stagger for a second before both of the fighters can continue beating each other up. GCPD SWAT storms the place, and once they see the two men fighting, immediately just open fire because they're GCPD SWAT. They don't care. They see two freaks and they're like, "All right, blast them." So Batman and Slade, they escape pretty easily, being competent. They both end up on the roof, and Batman goes to chase Slade, but a GCPD helicopter arrives, blinds Batman with its giant ass searchlight, and by the time it moves away, Slade's already gone. And the GCPD, when they make it up to the roof, Batman is also gone. Back at his shitty apartment, Bruce is, sewing himself up. He mulls over his plan and what should do next when Gordon calls him to apologize for the SWAT nearly, riddling him with bullets. Bruce is like, it's whatever. And then Gordon asks him, Bruce asks him if Gordon found anything at the bars. And Gordon confirms that the others were a smuggling front, but more importantly, Cobblepot was found to own one of them. So Bruce takes the rest of the night off to recover, but as soon as the, sun rises, Batman goes out in the daytime to the newly purchased Cobblepot estate to break in and look for evidence. He makes his way through the building, and he finds that someone has recently been there because the office upstairs has a door and it's just wide open. And the safe in the office has been forcibly opened, like claw marks are all over it, and its contents are gone. He brushes past that and continues searching the office that is otherwise untouched. And inside the desk, under a false bottom, is Cobblepot's files for all the shell companies that he owns that have been purchasing the bars, that have been, acting as smuggling fronts. Takes photographic evidence and calls Gordon and lets him know. And then he leaves the estate to go confront Cobblepot himself. It doesn't take long for Batman to find him because he's going to be in the Iceberg Lounge. That is no longer empty and is now packed with henchmen and gaudy furniture. Surprisingly, though, Batman is welcomed in by the henchmen acting as bouncers, and inside is a heavily armed army of goons. I said the word. Why did I say the word? And Cobblepot sitting at the bar, and he welcomes Batman and introduces himself as the Penguin. Batman doesn't care. He's like, "All right, I'm shutting you down. I'm shutting down the smuggling ring." But before he can act on anything, Cobblepot just kind of laughs at him and tells him that he won't go out quietly like the mob did, and has a henchman wheel in a TV. And Batman, a little confused, he looks at the TV, and on the screen is a recording of a bunch of Cobblepot goons setting up a bunch of explosives in the Gotham clock tower. Batman turns to Cobblepot, and Cobblepot informs him that he can arrest him here, or he can go attempt to stop the bombs. Batman, he's a little taken aback, and he kind of weighs his options, but he decides that, you know, obviously to do the right thing and go disarm the bomb. So Batman leaves, and Cobblepot laughs as he exits the Iceberg Lounge. And as quick as he can, he rushes to the Gotham Clock Tower, calling Gordon on the way to inform him that, there's a giant bomb threat in one of the biggest buildings in the middle of Gotham. Once he's inside the tower, he scales it and finds the top completely just rigged to the brim with explosives. And a timer starts as soon as he gets there. So, in a bit of a panic, he calls Alfred and tells him that if anything happens while he's defusing the bomb or attempting to I forgot to write this part down. That's crazy. I remember though. I remember though.
We should have
Anyways,
done more
so
work.
we should have, which is saying it's kind of crazy because we read a lot. We did read a lot. Anyways, he just lets Alfred know to hold on to the fortune and help Gotham with it instead of just hoarding it, and to keep Wayne Tech on the straight and narrow because Wayne Tech does exist, but he doesn't do anything with it. He just kind of lets it be. It's mostly just a pharmaceutical company, but one that actually helps and doesn't rob people. Anyways, after the Alfred call, the GCPD and Commissioner Gordon begin to evacuate the area. GCPD SWAT attempts a raid on the Penguin does not go well. The GCPD SWAT were not prepared for the heavily armed Penguin henchmen that are dug into the Iceberg Lounge. Uh, so yeah, they're toast. Batman, meanwhile, is still disarming the bomb while the timer ticks down. He's about to cut the final wire. Oh, here it is. Why'd I write it down here? Whatever. He tells Alfred the thing to support the city. And he finally cuts the wire, and the timer for the bombs flicks off. And he successfully disarmed them. He breathes a sigh of relief until the building rattles, and there are large explosions heard in the distance. Back to Commissioner Gordon, who witnesses the east end of Gotham go up in flames. And he hops on his radio and starts shouting orders in there for people to start heading towards the east end. Batman, exiting the clock tower immediately, also begins to head towards the east end to rescue survivors. Once they get there, it's just a mess of rubble and collapsed buildings. There are dozens of people crushed underneath the rubble and hundreds of wounded. Batman spends all day and all night sifting through the rubble with the EMTs and firefighters arriving to the scene as well. So, with grim determination, he pulls out orphaned kids, widowed partners, and just regular ass people. But the death toll is still massive because, the entire East End just collapsed. By the time the sun's up, he's ragged and barely makes it back to his apartment. Just devastated. That same day, Bruce Wayne makes a public appearance, vowing to rebuild the East End and house the numerous survivors. And by that night, Batman contacts Gordon and tells him that Cobblepot will be going down tonight, and wastes no time heading straight towards the Iceberg Lounge. Batman, you know, decides to do a stealth attack on the lounge because he knows if he tried to frontal assault it, he'll be very outgunned because, the SWAT got utterly folded. So he pulls the Arkham Knight and just, goes in, strangling people, and then just knocking them upside the head to knock them out. And slowly makes his way down to the main floor into where the Penguin's office is. He kills the lights, and the henchmen panic fire in the dark. One of them actually manages to hit Batman, but it's a grazing blow, and he still basically mops the floor of them because they're just, henchmen. Batman breaks into Cobblepot's office, and he pummels him. He pummels him not too badly, within the Batman pummel range. He's alive, is what I'm trying to say. He drags him out of the building. In the morning, Jim Gordon finds a beaten Cobblepot sitting in a GCPD cell. Oh, I need to take a breath.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm
All
good. No,
right. Now it's my turn.
there's still more. There's still more.
Oh, dude, I thought you were done with it. Am I crazy?
No. I mean, if you want to take over, you can.
No, please keep going. Finish year 2.
Okay. Dude, I should got more water while you're talking. I'll do that. I'll do that real quick after I finish this. Anyways, the following weeks, has Bruce Wayne providing relief to the damaged East End of Gotham City, while a new masked burglar begins infrequently popping up, but rarely leaving a trace. Two newly orphaned boys, Dick Grayson and Jason Todd, meet in an orphanage and form a close brotherly bond. The two sneak out frequently to get away from the overcrowded orphanage, but Jason ends up getting them both into some trouble when he picks a fight with a bunch of wannabe penguin goons. Dick being the good guy he is, he backs him up, and they put up a good fight. To one of the I said goons again. I just realized that I hate that. To one of the henchmen, to one of the henchmen draws a revolver. And before either of them get shot, a looming shadowed figure descends on the man and beats him to a pulp. Jason and Dick stand there in awe as they meet the mythical Batman, who promptly begins to dress them down for attempting to pick a fight with a bunch of criminals. No, they're both a little miffed, but they decide not to argue with the raggedy bat vigilante who just beat a man in like mere seconds. And so they leave. But unbeknownst to either of them, Batman, who's already kind of like completely riddled with guilt, just got faced with his greatest fear and what he's been trying to prevent. Just two orphaned kids in the Gotham. So yeah, he's a little fucked up. But back to Jason and Dick, specifically Jason, who are back at the orphanage. Jason is a little he's a little inspired, you could say. A little myth. That Batman, the Batman, uh, dressed them down like that. So he convinces Dick that they should go out themselves as vigilantes to go beat up some more Penguin's goons. Dick is he's a little like, I don't really want to do that. That sounds a little insane, Jason. But Jason's like, nah. And he whittles him down by annoying the shit out of him for the next couple days. So they make terrible costumes that are basically just colored hoodies and cargo pants with a little few patches sewn onto them. Dick wears his traditional colors, green, red, and yellow. And Jason just wears a gray and red, very much not inspired by a certain Bat Hobo hoodie. And after a short debate, they both decide to name themselves after birds. Dick obviously chooses Robin. Jason chooses Crow. So Robin and Crow both hit the streets to pick out another fight, and it doesn't take them long to find one. This time with an actual group of Penguin henchmen who are breaking into a pawn shop. So Crow, armed with his trusty bike lock, just starts beating some guy over the head with it. Robin just has a baseball bat, and he just smacks some of them with it. It starts off in their favor because they got the jump on them, but it gets really messy really quick. Crow accidentally ends up breaking a window of the pawn shop and the henchman's hand in the process. Robin breaks a few car mirrors and his own bat when smacking it on a goon. I said, oh my god, dude.
We gotta have a goon counter, bro. We gotta have a fucking goon counter.
I'm gonna go through this entire document, just replace every word with henchman.
The goon counter starts.
Okay. Anyways, by the end of it, both of the young vigilantes are just standing there in the middle of the sidewalk, looking kind of just like a bunch of vandals, honestly, instead of the vigilantes that they're trying to emulate. Speaking of vigilantes, Batman's back. And he takes one good look at the stupid, reckless teenagers in front of him. He's like, yeah, this is the same kids from earlier. And before he calls Gordon to come grab these kids for being morons and running out and trying to be vigilantes, more goons show up, pile out of a car with actual weapons this time, namely guns. Batman quickly grabs the kids and just fucking dives them out the way. Crow or Jason, whatever, he protests, but Batman just hits him with that bat stare, and he's like, "Okay, my fault." So Batman leaps out of the cover once the goons stop and reload. And why'd I do this to myself?
Hey.
I guess I will. I guess I have to. idea, man. Anyway, so he lays into them because they had to reload. But one of them actually manages to break off from fighting Batman and aims at the the teenage vigilantes, and opens fire. Crow, thinking on his feet, pushes Robin out the way first and flings his bike lock at the guy shooting at them, but catches a stray round in return and folds because he's like 13 or 14, I don't know, whatever. He's a teenager. And he got shot, so that doesn't feel good. But this bike lock landed and clocked the guy in the head, so there's that. Batman sees this and gets angry and beats the like ever living shit out of the henchman. I almost said it. I mean, I should avoid
Goon.
it. uh, so pretty upset Batman goes back over to the teens and starts calling Commissioner Gordon to pick up what's left of the goons. Batman also staunches Crow's wound the best he can, but he doesn't really carry any like first aid kit, and he doesn't really have any real medical experience beyond first aid. Robin is freaking out because his surrogate brother just got shot and is begging Batman not to turn them into the cops when they arrive. So Batman, he feels guilty already, so he acquiesces and calls Alfred. And he's like, "All right, meet me at my shitty apartment, Alfred, and bring a med kit or something. Bring some medicine." So he carries Crow, and Robin follows him to the apartment. And Alfred's already there, of course, and waiting. So Batman and Robin enter and lay Crow out on a table, and Alfred begins, fixing him up. Robin's a little confused why the mythical Batman has a butler and also lives in a shitty apartment that's like dusty, old, and decrepit. But he doesn't really mention it because his brother is being operated on. Oh my god, I need water. Should have gotten water.
Finish the mission.
I will finish it, okay? Okay. Alright. So anyway, Batman softly interrogates Robin about why they went out to be vigilantes after explicitly being warned that it's a bad idea because they're teenagers. Robin tells them that they just want to avenge their family because Penguin did murder them in along with like hundreds of other people. And Alfred gives Batman a look right in front of Robin, and then Batman tells Robin that he and Crow are still too young to be out patrolling the streets of Gotham. Robin is kind of miffed and tells him that he just can't pretend that nothing happened because him and Crow both saw their parents die in front of them, and tells Batman if he really wants to stop them, he'll have to turn them in himself. And that really does it. That really basically does it for Bruce. He's like, oh, okay, all right. So he's like, okay, I'll offer you this. You could still be vigilantes, but the price is I have to train you, and you have to stop once they fully clean out the Penguins' goons. Why what was I thinking? I
Goon
shouldn't have read this at like
counter.
2 a.m. I shouldn't have read this at 2 a.m. Anyways, Alfred finishes, or he has finished operating Crow. He's just monitoring him, but he chimes in and offers Robin, well, both of them, housing on top of the trainings that they don't have to sneak out of the orphanage and actually have a place to stay. And Robin is open to it, but he wants to talk to Crow about it first. Now we have a little small time skip of Batman training, housing, and spoiling his new sidekicks. I don't think we've mentioned this at all. Our Batman doesn't have tech. He doesn't use tech. He wears a shitty trench coat, and
Echo gang.
I think at most we said he had like just Kevlar, right? Just raw Kevlar.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's all he wears. Oh, and the Bat mask. The Bat mask stayed. The cowl stayed. That's about it. But the sidekicks on here, and Crow and Robin, They get spoiled. They get the cool bat tech. So yeah. So Bruce Wayne officially adopts Jason Todd and Dick Grayson. And Batman and his two new sidekicks, Crow and Robin, do manage to fully clean out the remnants of the Penguin Gang while assisting, the common citizens. Meanwhile, Harvey Dent is found missing from his hospital bed when Commissioner Gordon goes to visit him. Excuse me, I don't know if the mic picked that up. Serial burglar Catwoman finally meets the mythical Batman. The two have a small little fight, quote unquote, which is really just Batman trying to chase her, and she succeeds in escaping him. Though, in the shadows of Ace Chemicals, though, a new criminal element begins to form under a man with little to lose. Slade finally fucks off from Gotham to find another job, but he vows to get revenge against Batman. And Dr. Jonathan Crane, who had witnessed what the Batman has done to the criminal element of his hometown, with fear, decides to commit himself to his work, hoping to emulate his idol. That is the end of year 2. I put 2 and 3 there, but we'll just call it 2. We'll just call it 2
Hey,
because I sip a lot, and I don't
you're
think I can do
cooking
that in 1
crazy.
year. On my
Go grab
throat.
yourself some water. We got some things.
Yeah, I'm
All
gonna
right,
do
now
that.
it's my turn. I'll start
Good luck.
real fast. Talk about the formation of the Justice. All right, Flash, year 3 to 4. Captain Cold and Mirror Master break themselves out of jail. Flash immediately puts them back in jail. Captain Cold and Mirror Master decide they need a team. You know, they gotta assemble some rogues, if you will, to put Flash down once and for all. Barry moves in with Iris and realizes that he's not going to be able to go back to his time. At this moment, he just essentially is like, I'm going to live the best life I can live here and completely forget about my time because whatever, you know. Booster and Barry make up. Booster apologizes. Barry gets it. Beetle, Booster, and Flash agree to team up and attempt to stop whatever in the future destroys the future, aka the Cataclysm. Now, editorial is demanding a team up issue here as Flash is selling okay, but not that well. So Flash fights Hector Hammond with the Green Lantern. Also, a Batman team up occurs, and Barry's pretty confused because it's not Batman Beyond, and it doesn't seem to be related to Batman Beyond in any way. So Barry's kind of like, oh, this is. Like, he knows who the real Batman is, but it's kind of one of those situations where he's like, man, you're not as cool as my Batman is. Beetle and Booster get a future ping from Skeets, which is basically like someone is coming back from the future kind of stuff. Now, chilling with Iris and Wally, Barry is attacked by a yellow Flash, who reveals himself to be the Reverse Flash. Flash and Reverse Flash end up fighting across Central City. Beetle sends Booster in to help. Booster gets his ass kicked. Jay Garrick shows up. They team up, barely beat the Reverse Flash, attempt to arrest him, but then Reverse Flash declares he'll be back and just like teleports away. Barry explains everything to Iris and Wally, so he tells them his secret identity. Iris is pretty mad about it, about him like lying for the past year or so, but she accepts it and sees like all the good he's been doing. Wally, however, thinks it's like the coolest thing he's ever seen. Immediately, Reverse Flash, but in like a more armored costume, sort of appears. So kind of like the Injustice costume, where it's like way too much armor for a Flash. He sort of shows up now. He tries to kill Iris, by throwing a lightning bolt at her, but Wally jumps in the way, taking the lightning bolt. Barry and Reverse Flash start to fight again. This time, when Jay shows up, Reverse Flash absorbs some of his speed, and they're the two fighting sort of just like rage across the world. You know, they're both too fast to like actually stay in one place. So when they punch each other, they're just like, flying across continents or cities as well. Other heroes try to step in but aren't fast enough. And as the two are fighting, they're both like siphoning speed from one another, making each other faster somehow. They're like sending speed across. That's like in like when Barry takes speed from Reverse Flash is taking speed from Barry, and it's like speeding both of them up because the speed is going between them, and that makes it faster. It's Speed Force nonsense. Who knows? I don't, and I wrote it. Now Barry puts everything he's got into one last punch. It knocks both of them into the Speed Force, where they run into past Reverse Flash from when he was running away after the first fight. Now the two Reverse Flashes team up and beat the shit out of Barry. All three of them blast out of the Speed Force into the future, aka Barry's past, from when the Cataclysm happens. There's a big exposition dump where the Reverse Flash reveals themselves to be Eobard Thawne, a Flash mega fan who gave themselves speed just to be like Flash. But when Flash abandons the timeline in favor of a different one instead of, fixing his timeline, they get pretty pissed off. The fight continues. The universe is starting to be erased. Having both Eobards here is causing some form of paradox that is just completely melting everything. So this is revealed to be the Cataclysm. The paradox kills both the Thawnes as they meld together in agony. Barry has to run faster than he's ever run before to absorb the paradox and save the universe. As he's running, his friends see flashes of him. Barry says his goodbyes in these little moments, and he dies. Hell yes. Get him out of here, okay? Because Wally wakes up from a coma and now has access to the Speed Force and decides to honor Barry's legacy and become a hero. However, he refuses the name Flash as he doesn't think he has earned it yet. And that is the end of Flash year 3 to 4. Alright, Wonder Woman years 3 to 4. So Barbara Minerva has become Cheetah, died, unfortunately, after maybe confessing her love and blah blah blah, all this stuff to Diana. So Steve flies Diana over Paradise Island. Diana fucking jumps out like a badass because they don't need to land. Also, landing could be pretty bad for Steve. So regardless, Diana uses the fleece, healing Hippolyta. Hippolyta basically gives Diana permission to continue her mission. She was going to do it without permission, but Hippolyta's like, no, your mission's a nice one, so go do it. Diana leaves Paradise Island. She finds Steve in the ruins of his home city, Coast City. She's late to the White Martian battle that basically formed the Justice League. But she helps with the relief effort. The League try to recruit her, and she kind of declines because she's got people to avenge and things to do. Suddenly, however, editorial forced Lobo onto the book because he is the main man. So him and Diana kind of have a fight. He gets the upper hand by using some weird magic tricks or something, some science tricks, who knows, it doesn't really matter. Diana wakes up in a Brainiac cell next to Superman, who's her cellmate. They have a little team up. They beat up Lobo. They beat up Brainiac. Superman asks Diana to join the League, and this time she sees what the vibes are, okay, maybe I should actually join the Justice League here, and both of them head back to Earth to both go on their own separate adventures. And that pretty much takes all of Wonder Woman years 3 to 4. It's a bit of a shorter year, and unfortunately the book wasn't selling as well as something like Superman and Batman, so editorial had to come in and shove Lobo in there. But year 5, we're really getting back to it, Alright, viewers, prepare yourself for Hawkman's year 0, or Hawkman year 0 to 4. If you can't tell, me re-recording these, I'm trying to get this video out faster than the announcement for Absolute DC comes out, and that is happening tomorrow, to my knowledge. So I am speeding through this. Apologies for this. If we ever make a sequel, the audio will not fuck up, and you'll get a full video. That being said, Qatar Hall, Thanagarian scientist, has dreams. He dreams of alien civilizations, an Egyptian prince, an English bard, and a costumed superhero, but most of all, he dreams of an alien woman. He sees her in many different forms, but it is always the same person. However, when awake, Qatar works to replicate Nth metal, an ancient Thanagarian metal that is currently gone extinct. I don't know if metals can go extinct per se, but it's essentially just gone. So instead they're using cheap alloys to replicate the effects of Nth metal. It's magic, okay? It lets them fly and do stuff, whatever. Qatar tells his friend Fel Andar about his dreams. Fel dismisses them and tells Qatar that he's just working too hard. Back at his apartment, Katara avoids his dreams by just staying awake. Suddenly, a man dressed in a Iranian outfit appears. The man tells Katara to remember Carter before disappearing. Katara recognizes that name from some of his dreams. That night, Katara dreams of an Egyptian prince named Khufu and his lover Cheara finding a crashed alien spaceship. Katara wakes up before they can go inside. On Earth, Kendra Saunders meets with Adam Strange, and they discuss their plans to save Carter. Adam Strange was the guy in the Iranian outfit. If you're not like massive into just random DC lore, this section is gonna get fucking weird. Katara skips work, going to a planetarium. He searches for information on nearby planets and doesn't find much on Earth, except that it is a faraway backwater planet, but he can kind of recognize the images from his dreams. Suddenly, Adam Strange appears again and tells Katara to flee to Rand if he wants real answers. Then Adam Strange disappears. No one knows what's going on with his little theta beams. They're just not working right now. At this moment, the Hawk Police flood in, led by Fel. They beat the shit out of Katara and arrest him. I mean, listen, it ain't looking great for Katara right now. He doesn't really know what's happening, but he does like hear glimpses that they're arresting him for being a traitor and talking to Iranian. However, typically when that happens, they execute him. So he's getting little mixed signals here, right? He doesn't really understand why he isn't being executed for committing a crime that most people get executed for. But whatever, he's stuck in prison, so he decides to dream. And in this dream, he finishes the dream from earlier, where him and Cheara enter the spaceship, where they discover true Nth metal. It fuses with their bodies, trapping them in a cycle of rebirth because it's a magic metal, and giving them a cool suit. After the fuse, a Thanagarian warrior who is sent to investigate the ship, named Hath Set, attacks them. The three fight. Khufu causes the ship to explode, so Hath can't have the remaining metal, as the metal is sort of like almost the suit and the Nth metal inside Khufu is like telling him that it would be bad if Hath got the rest of it. Also, the ship is very clearly Ranian, and is a last-ditch effort to finish the war, or as a last-ditch effort to finish the war, they steal all the Nth metal in an attempt to destroy it. Now, in the waking world, months pass. The Thanagarians torture Katara, getting nowhere. Fel basically reveals everything, and that he is actually Hath reincarnated, and he did some wobbly magic shit to manipulate the cycle so that Katara would be reborn on Thanagar, but without Kendra. Now, while Katara has been working, the Thanagarians have been testing him to pull out the true Nth metal, but it hasn't worked so far. So basically everything Katara has been doing is one big lie. In a fit of rage, hearing this news, the Hawkman suit bursts out of Katara, sort of like a symbiote like Venom or Spider-Man. It helps form a mace weapon, and Katara escapes after kicking the shit out of a bunch of people. He is chased throughout Thanagar by Fel and his men. He's cornered, and he fights. His Nth metal, at this point, completely overpowers. They're like cheap alloys. Fel is the last man standing, and Adam Strange appears and shoots him in the back. Adam helps Katara steal a ship before disappearing again. With this stolen ship, Katara flees Thanagar, and that is the end of year 021. So year 2, Katara's stolen ship runs out of gas. He's stranded, until a mysterious ship picks him up. It's the Dominators. Though they don't call themselves that, but for DC fans, it's the Dominators. Katara asks if they're going to Rand. They say they're going to Earth. They don't kill Katara because their ship is broken, and he says he knows how to fix it as he's a scientist. Katara appreciates the company until it turns a little bit weird. The Dominators keep asking him weird questions, like how many metahumans are on Earth, and just kind of odd questions about Earth that are like, why do you want to know those? Katara spies on the Dominators while he's supposed to be sleeping, and learns they plan on taking over Earth so that they can study metahumans. He also learns that this is only a scouting ship, and there aren't that many on the whole ship. Now, in the middle of the night, or what can count as night in space, Katara cripples the ship while they sleep. He steals fuel for his own ship and leaves. Back on Earth, Adam Strange informs Kendra that he has no fucking clue where Katara is, and they can only hope he makes it either to Rand or somehow back to Earth. Katara's dreams continue. Now he's dreaming of countless lives, some where him and Kendra live happy, long lives, some where their lives are cut short, and some where fate keeps them apart, like what is happening right now. Qatar is determined to find Kendra, even if he dies doing it. Now, eventually, Qatar makes it to Ran. Ran, thinking he's an enemy, shoots his ship down. Qatar's Hawkman suit activates, which lets him survive the vacuum of space. Great to know. Qatar flies down to Ran, almost loses himself to rage, and attacks the Ranian people before he realizes he isn't actually angry at him. It's the metal, and the Nth metal, is actually sentient. Big twist, right? Before he has time to question this idea, like how does he not understand that, Adam Strange appears again. Now, Strange can stay a little bit longer on Ran, so finally he has time to explain that the woman Qatar is looking for is named Kendra, and she's on Earth, which he kind of already knew, but Adam Strange is reinforcing that idea. Qatar and Strange attempt to utilize Ran tech to teleport to Earth, but before they can, Adam's theta beams run out, and the Thanagar fleet arrives. Qatar tries to flee, but is stopped by Fel and a squad of Thanagarian troops. They get the upper hand and knock Qatar out. At this point, the Ninth Metal completely takes control and decimates the army, including Fel. Doesn't kill him, though. Qatar wakes up in deep space, his suit his only company. So that is the end of Year 2. Year 3, not as long as these others. Qatar floats / kind of flies through deep space. It's, he's got like wings. It's no boosters or anything, so is it really flying? I don't really know. He tries to communicate with the Ninth Metal. It can't talk, but he can sense its emotions, so they can send like feelings back and forth. The metal has a deep longing to find its other half, which Qatar knows Kendra has. The metal warns Qatar that a threat is nearby. Qatar assumes it's Fel and his army, but actually it's the Dominator's fleet. Rage fills Qatar. He's tired of being hunted. It's mostly kind of also the suit's rage, but this time it's someone in Qatar where he's just fed up with this whole thing. He attacks and wipes out every single Dominator ship, Dominator by Dominator. He hasn't killed anybody before, but he can't really think about it now. He doesn't have the time for that. It's them or him, and he's not going to let any more people get in his way. The metal, while magically strong, cannot protect Qatar from every injury, so one of the last Dominator ships blows itself up with Qatar inside as a Hail Mary. Qatar just barely survives this, and the metal has to focus on healing his body, leaving Qatar to the Dominators, who capture him and cryo-freeze him. And then we have written here, as editorial has demanded it, insert a fun little one-shot, maybe a few of them, of different adventures that Qatar and Kendra have had throughout their lives. So I mentioned it earlier, but they used to be superheroes and they've done a bunch of stuff, so these one-shots are just kind of exploring those other lives of theirs, but that is the end of Year 3. So Year 4, Qatar wakes up. He's in the middle of being experimented on. Before the Dominators can fully cut him open, he lashes out. The metal is weak from kind of waking him up and getting him out of this coma for the past while, but is strong enough for him to make his weapon. He cuts his way through the ship. When he stops, he's covered in the blood and guts of dozens of Dominators, and looking through a window, he can see Earth. He takes a smaller ship to Earth. Once on Earth, moves in a sort of a daze as the images of dead Dominators won't leave his mind. The reality of what just the massacre of these people, like that idea is finally setting into him. Shortly after he lands, Kendra finds him. They embrace. Their love for each other is multiplied by the metal's longing for its other half to finally connect. The next few weeks or days, Qatar can't really grapple with the amount of lives he has taken in a short period of time. Kendra tries her best to comfort him, but something just isn't really clicking. Not only is Qatar's guilt just weighing down on him, but he can't distinguish his love for Kendra from the metal's longing, and he questions if maybe he even truly loves her, or if it's just the metal manipulating their countless lives. Qatar tries to leave, and Kendra is willing to give him space, but the metals scream out in agony at being separated after finally coming back together. Before they can figure out their next moves, a Rand fleet appears above Earth, followed by a Thanagarian fleet, and that is the end of Hawkman Year 4. What we said is Year 5, and I'm gonna let you. I just talked.
All right. Um. Okay.
Also, it's the
So
Ran Thanagar War. That's the
yeah. Yeah. So starting off, Adam Strange. You know the Ran man out of time. You could say. Goes. Oh
as
yeah.
a
Well.
human man he's got dual citizenship. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I read the question. Okay. This has been.
yeah.
This has
this
been.
is like this is like when you're reading a comic book, main writer, the book doesn't want to write the like tie-in. So they get another guy to write the tie-in issue, and it's like this has what you're like this is nothing like the book, and it's like, hey, I typically write the question, and now I'm writing the Hawkman. I don't know what.
But yeah, Adam Strange. He goes and sees the question. See question year 3. We're gonna ignore that because that hasn't been ran. But basically, yeah, we'll get back to it. We'll get back to it. Adam Strange, he tells the question that the Rand the Thanagarians are, they're gonna have a little throwdown above Earth, and it's gonna be very bad for everyone involved because the Thanagarians are, insane, and the Rand, they're not gonna take it lying down. So the Rand, they want Hawk people to make, big bombs using the Nymph metal. Big nukes, typical BBEG stuff. And Theragarians just, they want the Nymph metal to have, you know, Nymph metal weapons and shit. Go
I'll
ahead.
let you. So first, I'll say our notes for this section we did about an hour before this.
Yeah.
Very like just write the plot down and we'll fill it in when we talk. Now the plot is there, but fill in what's Ranians want Kendra or so they can have the Anagarians want Kendra and Qatar so that they replicate. Continue on.
Right. Now, question goes, and he assembles the league, because he knows all of them because he's been stalking all of them. He is the main character. I mean, we discussed this. He knows all of them. He starts with the Flash, obviously, because you know, the fastest man alive, so makes quick work to assemble them. Uh, so the League assembled, grabs guitar, and I had to cough and burp at the same time and disappear. Anyways,
Rip.
yeah, I don't know what that was. Anyways, they grab guitar and fucking Kendra.
This man
Thank you.
cannot remember.
I can't. There's too many K names.
That
And it
actually that's
doesn't
on
help
me.
that there's 2 different hot girls too, because I know there's another one.
No, we're not getting into that. Not in this.
We're
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna talk
no,
about
not
it.
real. Not.
Anyways, so the league grabbed the Hawk, and they all pitch in to grab a little small apartment base in Hub City because they don't have a Hall of Justice or Watchtower because they're all poor.
Yeah. They don't have Batman yet. You know. So
Yeah. So Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, who are also in the league, they stay behind to guard the Hawks because someone has to stay behind and guard them. Meanwhile, Aquaman, well, we'll start off with sorry, diplomats first. Am Strange and Martian Manhunter go speak with the Ranians, while Flash and Lantern go to the Thanagarians. They're trying to broker a peace, trying to like settle things about barking a galactic war. Uh, the Ran, they don't want this to happen, but they also don't trust the Thanagarians to back down if they also back down. So they're not gonna pull out. And the Thanagarians just tell Flash and Lantern to fuck off, to shove it because they don't care. They don't really care. They also don't know who the Flash is, and it's one lantern. It's one lantern that doesn't even really look, imposing because it's just one of them.
Wally, we're gonna call him Flash. He has not yet taken the name Flash, but it's easier to write
Yeah,
Flash than Wally West or a different over and over. Never.
yeah. Okay. So obviously, uh, did we? Can I come later?
I can. I
Yeah,
can.
I can.
I can.
No, 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 no. I was just, I was, I thought something earlier happened. The lantern thing, I thought that happened already, but yeah, that happens in a minute. Anyways, first battle happens. It happens over the ocean because flying space technology and the Thanagarians, they're hot people. They fly. So it doesn't really make sense for them to have a land war. But it happens over the ocean. Uh, Kind of pisses Aquaman off because they're dropping bombs, they're fighting each other. Ships are falling into this ocean, fish are dying, Atlanteans are getting hurt because space bombs just vaporizing water. So Aquaman joins the fight finally.
And joins the fight. All right. Ignore that cut. There's no reason we cut there. Okay, it doesn't matter. Aquaman joins the fight and immediately leaves the fight when the Thanagarians go, "Oh, you lived underwater. We're just gonna get out of the ocean," which causes Aquaman gotta go relief effort for his people. Being the king of Atlantis from the day he's born, he cares a little more about Atlantis surface, so he pulls back. Thanagar stops bombing the shit out of the ocean. We cut back to Kendra, our Beetle, and Booster doing nothing, chilling in an apartment. Kendra's not having a fight. Earth is under attack by people looking for them, and can't really stand that. Hiding. Booster and Blue Beetle don't do a lot to stop her as kind of jobbers, so they're kind of like, she got out. That's really bad. But we still
Nigga, that's
got the tech.
crazy.
Yeah, they're
Nigga, that's
like, we still got
crazy.
one of them, so it's okay. So Kendra leaves. She immediately rushes straight towards the Bell shows up. They have a little fight. Bell and his same time, like immediately after that, Star locks the fuck in. He's not having a great time, but he hears and got kidnapped, so he's got to lock in. He convinces the League let him lead an assault on the thing. I mean, they don't really have any reason to say no. They did just lose one of the people they're supposed to protect, so they're going to go with him. Same time, Adam Strange back to the pleading them to pull back. That way, the League can attack the Thanagarians because he doesn't want to attack Thanagarians. The League is because that would just come bullshit. Ran locks him up. Now he's just like the first time, a peace broker situation, and now Adam's just getting in the problems. They like Adam Strange. They put him in a prison next to a very beat up looking booster goal. We'll get to it. On the way to the mission, Green Lantern is immediately pulled off of the by the Guardians, breaking galactic law, aka siding in this war that has nothing to do according to the Guardians. They yank his ass back to put under trial. Get to that later. Thanagar then napalm League as they met earlier, and they know that basically gets Martian Man picture, but he doesn't not killed as Flash picks him up. Wally picks him up, takes him out of the battlefield. It's gonna take a while. They're gonna get out of a couple. We got Hawkman, Blue Beetle, and not beat up Booster tear into the hull of the Thanagar. Immediately, Ran ship arrive aboard. Got Ranians and Thanagarians on the ship with a Hawkman who's extremely pissed off, a Blue Beetle and a Booster Gold who want absolutely nothing to do with any of them. Hawkman rushes to Fell, who now replicated successfully, sort of stronger, now completely matched. So they're fighting throughout the ship, knocking each other different floors, and it's a big fight. Booster and Beetle are trying to get the fuck out of here. Trying to find Kendra. They're trying to escape as quickly as possible. Find her in a weird space too. Fear. Guards show up. Fight ain't going great. They're getting their ass kicked. Suddenly, kills the guard. All right, you guys did pretty good. We're gonna take the woman. Gonna get out of here. They can't have that. Beetle grabs Skeets. Tells Booster to get the fuck out of here with. Beetle then uses, overloads his capacitor, whatever you want. Heck no. Causing a massive explosion. Goes throughout the entire ship. It's a very good. As soon as that happens, Booster's badly beat. Starts to malfunction. Sent into the past. And head ship. Lock him up. Why we saw a beat up Booster in the same cell. Cut back to gets distracted by this very big knowing that maybe that's where Kendra was. Can't like sense Kendra anymore. Kind of is very distracted. Bell beats him up. Cut back to Manhunter. Covering. Realizes him and Flash sort of realize we're fucked. Hawkman's gone. Hawkwoman. Beetle presumably dead. Booster dead. Strange dead. Lantern's gone. Manhunter taking his ship in search. Basically try to bring in the cavalry. Like we need somebody. We know where Lantern is. Gonna go look. Lantern, leaving just Wally and the Question left. Technically Aquaman's here, but doesn't want to fuck up Atlantis anymore. So Wally goes to Question, just like he did to Barry. Tells him to lock the fuck in. Okay? Wally does it. He goes, all right, I gotta go save Qatar when, boom, nuke goes off. So Wally's gotta run faster than. Wally runs faster than he's ever run before. Enters the. Starts to. He enters the. Begins to see. Sees. Booster Gold. A couple hours ago. Gets sent like to 2 days ago. Grabs Kendra, pops out of the speed. They appear in. But he has successfully stopped Ranians getting access to Kendra, so they can't set off a nuke. A couple minutes after Wonder Woman, great relief for was essentially out of power. That man just time traveled. He dazed for an hour to save Martian. Here, the kid's like 17. Doesn't really know how it's. So thank God for one. He makes quick work of the Thangarians. They ain't nothing. We watch as Fell takes Hawkman. Kind of leaves stealthily. He doesn't want anything to do with one. He just wants. He's gonna go do that elsewhere. Suddenly, the Ranian ships, which were firing, that'll happen. All of it stops. Starman can be heard over the horizon, and Superman has arrived. With the arrival of Superman, that's basically, tales have been spread throughout the galaxy so far about the lone. I was fucking about. So it's like, all right, Superman's here. We're gonna call it. We don't got nothing to do with that. Ranians leave. Arians leave. Say Superman successfully recovered Kendra, Wally, Adam Strange, and Booster. So they got all the prisoners except for Qatar. No one actually really. Well, they know he's not dead because Kendra can sense he's not, but not sure where. Little epilogue we have. Big event. Wally finally Flash. Booster's got to lock the fuck in right now. His best friend just died because bad grade of a super. Not. He's gonna be a lot better post this moment. Aquaman starts to rebuild Atlantis, kind of reach out the league as a join and make sure this can't happen again. At the same time, Superman tells the league that they need to be a lot better and they start recruiting. Is the end of the first 5 years, at least the majority of what we correct in that. Pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, aside from the question stuff after write up, that's about it.
Yeah, there's some question stuff, but that is end of really the end of our first episode, where we felt was a good place to.
And we had to get the video out before DC dropped their new event,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. We wanted
It had to be
because
done.
if they drop it, then it's gonna be.
We're not grifters.
Yeah,
All right, we're not grifters.
We had this idea, and now DC's pushing us to make it. Okay, it's not our fault, but this is our world, you know. Normally, I don't really say this, but if you enjoyed this video or any of the ideas, I don't like, maybe leave a comment. You know, it would be neat to see if people actually liked our ideas.
Yeah, feel free to rip into us, you know.
Now, that'll happen. I'm sure some guy who's a much bigger Hawkman fan than me will come in here.
Some guy that has been reading Hawkman since the Silver Age is about to destroy us.
Yeah, I've desecrated
utterly.
Hawkman. Listen, I'm a big Hawkman fan. Talk about it. I love Hawkman. Regardless, if you enjoyed, leave a comment. I don't know. We will make a part 2. Watches. So look forward to that. And in fact, we might make a 1.5 to cover. That's what I think. Talked about that.
I think 1.5 is gonna be the cover up stuff, the stuff we missed, and then 2 will be everything else proper.
I think we'll do. I like the idea of like the 0.5s where wanted to write a story about content that has nothing to do with the universe story stuff. Then we'll be like, here's a 0.5 about content. But the big numbers, the 2 and the 3 and whatever, the big plot point, big events, whatever the fuck we're. That being said, thanks for watching.